throughout analytics, there are ways of telling the system that you want to judge something on a bespoke time frame. So whether you're looking at a chart or a table, portfolio funds, whatever, usually when it's asking you for a time period, you've got the standard time periods, your 1 month, your 3 month, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, etc., but also the ability to type in bespoke periods as well. In addition to that, we've also built in almost kind of cheat codes that the system will recognize them as a quarter end, weekend, last day, etc. And on the right hand side, when you're typing in a date, such as this, so I'm going to create a performance chart here, Keith Baker pension on a line chart from the 1st to the 2nd. But instead of just typing in the 7th of the 2nd, 2023, as in today, you can just put -L, which means last price. And if you click on generate, it knows and recognizes L to be last price, WE to be weekend, ME to be month end, YE to be year end, etc. And then it will automatically bring it up to that point. Now that doesn't save a huge amount of time, because in fairness, I could have just literally typed on or hit the 7th, and it would have recognized that to also be last price, and it would have run the same chart. Where that comes in quite useful is when you're building your own tables. So under the reports tab, if I click on report builder to build my own table, I've got one loaded up over here. And on the left hand side, when I type in these different user defined periods, again, instead of typing in a date to another date, I can use these codes. Again, -L, -YE, ME, WE, QE, quarter end, are all pretty self-explanatory. And you just use the numbers to denote how far back you want to go. Now, the benefit of this is if I were to put a bespoke period in here and actually specify a date from the 6th to the 7th, or from the 1st of January to the 2nd of January, that might be useful in certain circumstances. But when I run that table again next year or next week, tomorrow, whenever, it's going to be fixated on that date. So it's always going to give you the same data each time. But there'll be a lot of occasions where you want that data to automatically update. You want the system to recognize that when you run this next week, it's running it from the day you're running it, not from when you built it, fixated on those various dates. So if you use these little again kind of cheat codes, when you go and run the table, it won't bring up those codes. It will simply give you the actual dates. Now, bear in mind, obviously, some of this will be the weekend, hence why it's 00, 0. So you might want to make sure that when you're putting in the dates, it doesn't cover a weekend, if that's going to look a bit too messy. But the table I just created there a second ago brings up this with all the correct dates. But as I said, when I run this tomorrow, if I hadn't have used those little codes, the table wouldn't have changed. It will come up with exactly the same data. But because I have used the codes, the system now recognizes that we're going to be a day later, which is on the 8th, and therefore some of this data would change. Not all of it, because some of it's obviously going to be quarter end, year end. Obviously, that hasn't changed. We're still in the same year, etc. That's a little known feature in analytics. When you want the system to be a little bit more dynamic and have the particularly tables update when you're running the table, just bear in mind those little codes. And as I said, they're pretty self-explanatory. L means last price, as in yesterday's close price. Weekend, quarter end, year end, QE, ME, WE, etc. Hope that is useful. Any questions on the left hand side, just contact the help desk.